Bonjour à tous, bienvenue. Nous sommes
Hello and welcome. We're with Antonio Tajani, a Vice President of the European Commission and Commissioner for Industry and Enterprise.
Bonjour.
Bonjour à vous tous.
Alors,
Factories are closing, unemployment's increasing, SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, aren't surviving the economic crisis. Is it completely unavoidable or can we get out of it?
Complètement inéluctable ou est-ce qu'on va s'en sortir?
We
have to get out of it. We're committed to putting the real economy at the center of economic policies.
Au centre de la politique économique.
We have made mistakes in the past by only putting finance and services at the center. We pushed industry and enterprise into a corner. But we have to do exactly the opposite. Put industry and enterprise at the center and use finance to help the real economy.
It's urgent because some sectors are very badly affected. I'm especially thinking of the car industry. The great majority of European manufacturers have really suffered in this crisis. Ghosn, the CEO of Renault, said at the opening of the Paris Motor Show, if things go on like this, Renault could disappear.
I am working on an action plan to help the automobile sector. We are going to increase the money committed in our financial plans to €1.5 billion for research and innovation in the green car sector. Green cars will also be at the center of our new industrial policy. So we will be putting everything into trying to meet the challenge of helping certain sectors. So, for example, SMEs. I'm thinking of the 23 million SMEs, which are the powerhouse of our economy. We have to help them create new jobs. If every SME created just one job, we would have 23 million new opportunities in Europe for our young people. So we have to reinforce innovation, competitiveness, and the internationalization of SMEs.
We'll come back to SMEs in a minute. Another concrete example in the industrial sector is steel. In France, Italy, Finland and Spain, the sector is very badly affected. How can that be reversed?
We are working on it with the unions, management and the European Parliament. I'm going to present an action plan favouring the steel sector before next summer, laying out what Europe can do to reinforce this crucial sector. Of course, there is a problem of remaining competitive with Chinese and other Asian companies. We need a good strategy, a real action plan to defend this sector, which is crucial to our economy.
So a plan of action next year?
Of course.
You've been talking about offshoring. A few days ago, you said in an interview that the wind was changing. On what solid facts do you base this opinion?
This situation is forcing us to protect industry. We have to prevent the loss of our industries if we want to beat the crisis. We cannot simply ask our citizens to make sacrifices. We cannot just talk about reducing public debt. We have to draw up a proper strategy. That is why the European Commission has decided to prepare one. So the aim is to have 20% of GDP coming from industry before the end of 2020. It will be a real strategy to reinforce industry and try to regain the position we occupied a few years ago. Industry was generating 20% of GDP a few years ago, so we need a new strategy. But not to recreate the same industries as we had 20 years ago. We have to try for a new type of industrial policy, highlighting our quality and meeting the challenge from China, India, Russia, the United States and Brazil on quality. We can't win on quantity, but we have an opportunity to win thanks to the European network.
We'll finish with SMEs. I'll put myself in the place of a European businessman today. We meet a lot of them on Euronews. They're confronted with many obstacles, administrative burdens, sometimes corruption. many difficulties. They feel powerless. There are also problems of bad debts, which is a real problem for SMEs. So on these precise points, how would you reassure them and re-energize them?
Vous pourriez les rassurer, les redynamiser un petit peu, ces entrepreneurs.
We have already launched a poll asking entrepreneurs to describe the 10 biggest obstacles they encounter in Europe. And we will take concrete steps based on the results. We are already working on better regulations for SMEs. We are also working to reduce the administrative burden. My aim is to make it possible to start a new company in 3 days for only €100. And then we want to ease access to credit. We organized a forum for SMEs to explain to them how they can access financing. And then there is the European Directive on late payments to be applied in all member states before the end of March 2013. SMEs must be paid within 30 to 60 days maximum. Otherwise, there will be an 8% penalty. All member states will have to apply this. So it's a message from Europe to entrepreneurs and company employees. Because if small companies have to wait a year for payments, they die. And with them die tens of thousands of jobs.
One last question. It's European SME Week and I want to start my own business to become a businessman. And I'm lucky enough to be talking to a Vice President of the European Commission and the Commissioner for Industry and Enterprise. What sector would you advise me to try?
I
think the new economy. I would suggest space, or tourism, or nanotechnology, biotechnology, the most modern sectors in which Europe can win. I mean it, tourism and space. There's a big European Galileo project involving 30 satellites before the end of 2020. The satellites are in orbit, but the services will be in different fields: agriculture, transport, health, security, fishing. These are sectors where it is possible to do well and earn a good living.
Il y a la possibilité de bien faire et de bien gagner.
Antonio Tajani, merci beaucoup. Merci d'avoir été avec nous.
Merci à vous.
Au revoir.